There are a ton of videos out there about vegan restaurants in Copenhagen. You find out about all the great places to eat at, where to buy plant-based, gluten-free donuts, and the most Instagrammable oat milk lattes. But what if you just want to know how supermarkets are for vegans in the Danish capital? Well, this video is for you then. I've been living in Denmark for around 5 years now, out of that almost 3 years in Copenhagen. And if you have not visited this city for a while, then I have some good news for you. Being vegan here just keeps getting easier. With many more options to choose from at the supermarkets, we keep getting new products and also some new brands. Still, we got nothing on the vegan selection of Sweden's or Berlin's supermarkets, but things are getting good. Let's get to shopping. Oh, but before we do that, please do subscribe as I create videos about life in Copenhagen and a bit more geeky marketing stuff that you might find interesting. The staples. Not surprisingly, carrots and potatoes can be bought in all supermarkets, alongside with other fruits and green vegetables, as well as canned beans, dried legumes, pasta, nuts, and of course oats, because this is undoubtedly the land of the porridge. Bread can be sometimes a bit tricky, as a surprising amount of it contains some milk products or some other animal stuff, so it's better to watch out. Copenhagen has a considerable size population who are of a Middle Eastern heritage, so things like couscous, hummus, pita breads and often tahini can be found in most grocery stores, which I very much appreciate because I love that kind of stuff. Fake meats are everywhere now, in the fridge or in the freezer. Mince, sausages, schnitzels, and even cold cuts. But be careful with these, as some of them are just vegetarian, but not vegan. And lastly, in recent years, vegan dairy products also became widely available. That means butter, cheese, yogurt, and of course plant milks are all in the supermarkets now. Let's look at some of the more exciting stuff. Just to follow the dairy train, I don't remember being in a supermarket that wouldn't have at least one type of vegan ice cream on offer. And I'm not talking about popsicles, but the actual good creamy stuff. Frozen food options aside from the fake meats are usually falafels, pizzas, breads, and some weird looking stir fries in bags. I feel that tofu had a bit of a difficult road to get to the shelves of Copenhagen supermarkets, as they were not widely available for a long time, and now the offerings can still be quite hit and miss. Some of them are delicious, some of them taste horrible, some of them are just in the fridge, and some of them are just on the shelf floating in a pickle jar. I got to live in Japan for a few years, so while I am not a tofu snob, but after I've been exposed to the good stuff, it was very hard to go back to the leathery, rough and ugly looking creations when I moved over here. But things have improved quite a bit over the years, and we have some good stuff now, luckily. Condiments and sauces are a bit random. The more fancy supermarkets will have a vegan mayo, for example. And now even more traditional sauces like a Danish remoulade can be bought vegan, as brands realize that the plant-based market is growing over here. I talk about this topic in more detail in this video. Personal hygiene and cleaning products. These have come a long way since I moved here, and I am so happy about this. In bigger supermarkets, you'll be able to find shower gels, shampoos, soaps, deodorants, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and cleaning products that are clearly labeled vegan. But here I need to tell you about another store called Normal, which is a drugstore that doesn't sell prescription drugs. They have a lot of other stuff, like personal hygiene and cleaning things, and some foods that are labeled vegan. But most importantly, they have their own branded vegan products, and Normal is a chain, so you'll be able to find these stores all over the city. Okay, now let's do a bit of a round around Copenhagen and the most common supermarkets and see how they do with vegan products. Lidl. Shopping here is like the Copenhagen equivalent of wearing a bike helmet. It's like the uncoolest thing that you can do in this city. But horrible truth aside, Lidl has been stepping up to the vegan plate big time, with lots of new options and clearly labeled vegan items. Also, their pretzels are vegan, so I'm super happy about that. Rema 1000 and Fakta, they are fine. You'll be able to buy most of the staples that I've mentioned before. They sometimes have random vegan products that appear out of nowhere, then once they are sold, they are gone forever. But Rema always has my favorite tofu, which I will show you a bit later. Netto. They are everywhere, and most of them are pretty okay. They have all the staples that I have listed above. They also have their own range of vegan products that they keep adding new things to. They tend to have a separate cold vegetarian section with meats and dairy. Føtex. This is usually great. Depends on the location though, as a suburban Føtex might let you down. They have all the staples and a lot of the specialty stuff, even with a separate Asian and Mexican section. You can find quite surprising things like a clearly labeled vegan ponzu dressing, pesto, or even vegan black pudding, if that's your thing. And of course they also have the dedicated cold veggie section as well. Føtexes are generally quite huge, so they have a huge variety of items. Irma. The most expensive of them all, but definitely the best for vegans. They stock the upscale vegan brands and tend to have a huge variety of different type of vegan foods. If you want sour cream, they have it. Do you need some Beyond Burgers? No problem. Irmas tend to vary in size, therefore the smaller stores obviously have less options. So keep an eye out for one of the bigger ones, such as near the central station or the one in Valby with a huge selection. And then there's a bunch of random supermarkets like Aldi, Menu, Coop, Spa, Quickly, which all have staples and some okay vegan products. At the end of the day, most supermarkets in Copenhagen are owned by like 2 gigantic companies, so a lot of the same products will be available across the city, but at different price points and at different levels of variety. It's the choice of illusion. Let's take a look quickly at specialty food stores as well. Some Asian shops have a pretty good selection of vegan foods. You can find vegan kimchi, frozen dumplings, miso, seaweed, and other basics in most of them. My personal favorite shop is this tiny Thai market that is just right by the central station. They have several vegan cup noodles and even natto in their freezer. Health food stores are all over the city, but perhaps not so much in the suburbs. But obviously they have a huge selection of vegan items. And there are sadly no big markets in Copenhagen aside from Torvehallerne, but we have plenty of these little small markets which have lots of fruits, veggies, nuts and spices. These markets tend to be cheaper than the actual supermarkets, so they are a pretty good place to shop at. A special mention needs to go out to the brand Naturli due to their size and product range and availability. They produce a lot of stuff from plant milks to frozen sausage rolls, ice creams, and a lot of different types of fake meat. They are in all the supermarkets that I mentioned above, and then they tend to drop and test new products quite often, which is great. But they also take them off the market sometimes too quickly, like that heartbreaking moment when the cocoa almond milk went away, which was just the best. It was the best. And let's take a look at some of my favorite vegan products here. That Lidl pretzel. I don't know what to say. I love this thing. Butler's Choice lemongrass and chili tofu. This is the best shit. I could eat this every day. They took it off the shelves for a bit and there was some panic in the vegan Facebook groups in Denmark. Luckily, it's been back for a while now. Lady Butterfly biscuits, especially the chocolate ones, which are sometimes a bit hard to find. And they also have vegan Nutella. I really love these things. Naturally oat milk and their butter. When it comes to basic foods, these are a true staple in my house. True gum chewing gum. I love them so much that I actually made a video about them. Simply V cheese. It is not cheap, but it's actually super tasty and also melts. Also, I like Violife cheeses, and both of them are available in most Irmas. Castus. This is like a dried fruit snack made out of dates and some other fruits or nuts. It is super tasty and there are a lot of flavors available everywhere. Nice cream. Is this the best ice cream in Copenhagen? Yes. And the tubs are usually available at Irma's. Okay, and I just want to give you a couple of more closing thoughts. Is it cheap being vegan in Copenhagen? No. But it is simply not cheap being in Copenhagen at all. So if you are sticking to the vegan staples, you'll be totally on par with regular food prices. Okay, maybe aside from plant-based milks, which cost almost double compared to regular cow's milk, which is of course bullshit. There's a lot of focus on organic produce and food over here, and a lot of people do care about this stuff. But surprisingly, a lot of the non-staple foods that I have mentioned are not organic. Maybe you are planning to move to Copenhagen, or even just to visit. So I hope that this video helps you to get an overview of what's vegan out there in the stores. Admittedly, some of these products that you find here are not 100% vegan, as they may contain traces of animal stuff. And of course, some of the brands that I have mentioned are owned by other non-vegan companies, but I kind of leave that up to you if you're okay with that or not. What I would not like to leave up to you is that subscribe thing that all these YouTubers keep talking about. So please do that for me while I enjoy eating some of these snacks that I just showed you before. Thanks. Bye.